Ask people what the first great work of Jesus was, and they may say, curing the blind man, bringing back to life a person who had died, turning water into wine, or any one of the other great miracles that he performed. None of those, in my opinion, though, is the right answer. To me, Jesus' first great work was the sanctification of the family. Jesus is the second person of the Holy Trinity. He is God from God, begotten, not made. He is fully divine and fully human. Now, Jesus could have opted just to appear on the scene, strolling into town from the desert and start his ministry, no one knowing where he came from. But it was important that he came from the line, the ancestry of David, so that the scriptures would be fulfilled. The opening passages of the Gospel of Matthew list the genealogy of Jesus. It goes through 14 generations of names that I can't pronounce that prove that Jesus was born from the line of King David. But now, just imagine for a moment if Jesus had just shown up fully grown. Could we love him as much as we do now? Oh, sure, he would save us by his passion, death, and resurrection. But I wonder if we would feel the same intimacy we do now because he didn't suffer the same trials and challenges that we do in everyday life. We can appreciate his teaching, but it's one thing for Jesus to preach about humility, and another thing for the creator of the universe to be born a baby in a stable for animals. If Jesus had not been born into a family, he would have missed learning a trade from Joseph and seeing Joseph's loving care for him and Mary. He would have missed all the things, the expressions that Mary taught him that he would later use in his preaching, in which people could relate to. Since he was her child, he would see how Mary kept back a little dough to use it as leaven for the next day. He saw how Mary mended their clothes with a piece of old cloth. In his curiosity, he would ask why she didn't use new cloth to mend the old, and she would say so when the garment was washed, it wouldn't tear the old. He would learn from Joseph and Mary all the prayers and the customs of the Jewish people. The gospel says that Jesus grew in age and wisdom and favor in the home of Joseph and Mary. He was fully divine at his birth, but he's also fully human, so he had to learn, and he learned from his family. As God learned from his family, it is now our job for our families to learn both about God and then to imitate God in our families for the world to see. See, that is why the family is under attack from Satan. See, when the world sees a Christian family, it should look different than all the others. Our love and our service are to be a reflection of the self-giving love that God has for us. Now, non-Christian families can have great love for each other, but the love that we share is supposed to point to something, someone greater than ourselves. We are to show the world where this love that they feel for their families comes from. If it wasn't for God's love being imprinted on each human soul, we would be no different than the animals raising their young on instinct. The family is a threat to the enemy, so he seeks to destroy it. I could preach in all the different ways that the family is under assault, but I don't need to go over them. I mean, you know them all. All you need to do is turn on the news or watch just about anything on TV to see for yourself. The family is even under attack in our educational system. That's why Catholic schools are so important. The family is being attacked from many angles and will continue to be attacked until our Lord returns in glory. So what do we do until that glorious day? We do what Christians have done since Christ ascended. We help and encourage each other to make Christ not just a part of our families, but the very heart of our families. The enemy attacks the family on multiple fronts, and we too need to fight back in multiple ways. Doesn't matter what the makeup of our family is, whether we're all together or scattered around the country. We fight the enemy of the family the way that Jesus taught us. We forgive our family member who has hurt us. I mean, let's face it, each family has its share of scars. The difference is we need to be willing to forgive as Christ forgives us. We fight by not thinking only about our own needs, but considering the needs of the other over our own. And we don't do it by broadcasting what we're doing. We teach each other how to participate in the theodrama instead of the ego drama. The secular world is so self-centered instead of being God-centered. This little drama that we call our life is so small and pathetic compared to letting go and getting into the great theodrama of God. The home is where we'll help each other to open up ourselves to God's will instead of thinking life is all about the individual. We fight the enemy of the family with the Beatitudes, with sacrificial love, with joy, compassion, mercy, generosity, and humility. And if any of these qualities are missing in your family, then it's up to you to put them into practice. You can't wait for someone else to show mercy or humility or any other virtue. It needs to start with you. And all of this is how we strengthen the defense of our family. Now, I said we had to fight for our family on multiple fronts. Prayer is our offensive move on the enemy. We don't fight with the puny weapons of the world. We fight with the weapons of the Spirit, and we attack. Jesus told Peter, "Upon you I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." Gates don't attack. Gates defend. So what Jesus was saying is when the church goes on the offensive, hell will not be able to stand our attack. All our prayers are a powerful weapon, but there is an intercessor we can turn to who will make our simple prayers go nuclear. Israel frequently brought out the Ark of the Covenant into battle when the battle looked lost. So the presence of God will be with them and fight for them. The Ark was the box that held the remains of the Ten Commandments. Mary is the true Ark of the Covenant. Jesus is king, so that makes Mary Queen Mother. And Israel's king and queen mother were warrior figures. And Mary is not just Queen Mother of Israel, but of all of heaven and earth, and she is a fighter. We fight for our families, for all families, by invoking Our Lady in prayer and praying the Rosary. In addition to our prayers, we fight back by spending time in adoration and by uniting all of our trials and sufferings to the cross of Christ. We fight by loving those who persecute us and attack the family values that we hold dear and made this nation great. It may look like the enemy is winning, but we cannot act defeated or sit around and complain about the state of things. We should worry less about what the secular culture is doing and more about making Christ the heart of each of our families. Complaining about all the attacks in the family won't win the spiritual war we're in, but making Christ the heart and soul of our families will. We shouldn't waste energy worrying. God is in control. Can we change this culture of ours? Yeah, I think we can. 12 men who made Jesus the heart and soul of their families, and we can too.